welcome to the YouTube channel, Hypergamy in Motion. I just want to talk about the movie here, as you can see on the screen, The Last Duel. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck stars in this movie. Just before anything, don't forget to check out my 2 ebooks available now on Amazon and Kindle. 18 chapters on each book. As you can see on the screen, $2.99 each book. So don't forget to check them out. Okay. So for those who doesn't know, basically, hypergamy is the practice of seeking a partner of a higher status, wealth, or social standing for security and advancement. Mostly this term, I'm going to say mostly it's women who practice hypergamy. Men practice hypergamy as well, but it's more so 90% women. So the movie, as you can see here on the screen, display that perfectly. Before anything, I have to warn you and let you know there is a lot of spoilers in this video. Still, the information is very important. I think seeing the still images versus the actual movie, at the end of the day, it's still a really good watch. I recommend you watch the movie. If you haven't watched the movie and you don't want to see the spoilers, so I would suggest you watch the movie first and then watch this video. Either way, it's a good watch. Okay. So you have Jean, the Carrouges. Okay, so he is the main character in the movie. Okay, so he is what you would consider basically the beta provider. Okay. He is strong, loyal, but lacks charm or political skills. So his marriage to Marguerite, which we're gonna show her in a few minutes, is based on duty, not passion. A woman may respect men like Jean, but they often desire men like Jacques. Okay, so that's the first thing to be mindful of. Okay, now, so this is Margaret right here on the screen. Okay, so Margaret, she basically married Jean because she couldn't find anybody to basically marry her. Okay, in medieval times, women married for security and status, but which is not so much different than what we are on right now. Okay. Margaret's father, which the movie did not let you know that, but this is like a little history fact. Like, Margaret's father, he has a bad reputation. So basically marrying her to Jean, would, I guess, some way try to restore her family standings. Okay. This was a strategic move on their part, similar to how women are today, to seek partners who can provide stability. Okay. So that's Margaret, and you got Jacques. So he is basically what you would call the high value man of today's standards. Okay, he is wealthy, charming. He has political connections. He also is favored by Count Pierre de la Combe, which is the Ben Affleck character, which is the nephew of the king. Okay, so Jacques, he has influence. Unlike Jean, he knows how to navigate social circles and also gain a lot of power in the process as well. Okay. So that's him. Now, those two are really good friends. They're buddies. They're fighting the war together. And, I think one thing to be mindful of, they always say this, some guys, you just can't trust them around your woman. Like, you just can't trust them. They're basically, wolves in sheep clothing. And that's what Jacques is. And in some aspect, you can't even fault them because, he has the power, and women always seek high value men. That's just wired in their DNA. Okay. Those two guys, like I told you before, they hang out together, do different things together. Okay. So the Ben Affleck character right here, so he is the Count I was telling you about. He is the nephew, or I think the cousin or nephew of the king. One of them. Okay. So these two are buddies. Okay. So they do a lot of things together. Okay. Including, going to parties. They have different women's over, participate in, all kinds of like orgies, trains, and you whatnot. They do it all. So they're really good friends. And because of their friendship, which kind of plays a role into why Jacques is in the position that he's in. Okay. Now, that character right here sitting down, okay, that is Marguerite's father. Okay. All right. So his name is Robert. Now he's referred to as a traitor. Okay. Remember I told you earlier from the beginning, they were having a hard time finding somebody to marry Marguerite. Okay. Robert, part of the reason why he's labeled as a traitor, he has a controversial past. Historically, and what makes this movie so crazy is like it's based on history, like so it's real facts. Robert had sided against King Philip VI of France during a rebellion, okay, which was seen as an act of treason. He was later pardoned for that crime, but his reputation was tainted by disloyalty to his king. So you can imagine. So they basically, so their family reputation was really tainted. This guy right here. So but they had to basically find somebody to marry Margaret, try to restore their family name. So in the movie, right off the gate, Jean, which is the Matt Damon character, they pretty much wasted no time and married Margaret. So, I mean, you can understand she's a beautiful girl, really good looking, basically typical stuff, even modern times where women, they often use their beauty to their advantage. Now, this lady right here on the screen, she is Matt Damon's mother. And right off the gate, she did not like Margaret due to, like she has more of an old school mentality. And, they say sometimes, mom knows what's best. So she could see a mile away that this girl's full of it. Like Margaret, she's full of it. Okay. So Jacques, basically he invites Matt Damon and his wife to this party, right? So as you can see, he's a ladies' man and he has all the ladies, okay? So he has higher status and wealth. Okay. Now, right off the gate, like you can tell, like this dude, he is not even paying attention to Matt Damon. He's going straight for his woman. Like this is the first initial, I guess you could say, meeting between Jacques and Margaret. And You can see, look in the screen, like you can see, like look at her face. Okay. Now this is basically at this current moment right there. There's like a compare and contrast taking place. She's already comparing her, she's comparing her husband to Jacques. Okay. Now, some can say it's love at first sight. But mostly this is just straight hypergamy in motion right now. Okay. Now you could see the look in her eyes. She's right off the gate. She was interested. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I guess back in those days, it was okay to kind of like embrace somebody, kiss somebody, as like signs of greeting. But you tell me, look at this picture. I mean, both of them, their eyes is closed. Okay. So that's all it took, like, honestly. Okay. Jacques, he's like like what you would call, like, right now he's stalking his prey, like a alpha predator right now. He's stalking his prey in the party, he's approaching her, talking to her and stuff like that. And, in some sense, like, she was very receptive to his advances. I mean, you can see it in her eyes. You can see it in her face. Pretty much like he was like, at this point, I think you could see, he decided like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna get this girl. I'm gonna take her. And he knows that he has a shot of taking her as well. Okay. So what does he do? Like a typical, bad friend, snake. He goes and he waited after, because Jean, like I told you guys before, he's in the war. So he waited until Jean went to war. Now this is him at their house. So what he did was he got one of his boys, okay, to pretend that, he's talking to her, but the whole time he's basically hiding behind the door, because he's making his move. And, what does, like, this is like, women does this all the time, they no sense of accountability. Okay. So she opens the door. Okay. What you did not see prior to this image right here is the fact that he did approach and she saw him, but she still opened the door. He's making his advances. Now he's basically going for it. You can see it right here. They do little games. Like, this is like a game right now for her. Like, this is like games because she's pretending she's resisting. Okay. And that's the interesting part. She's resisting, but at the same time, she's leading him towards the bedroom at the same time. This is the type of mind games that they always play, because it also goes back to the taking no accountability. Right now, she's leading them to their master bedroom, and to the perspective, okay, there's two sides, from a surface level. One could say that, okay, he's forcing himself on her, but that could not be further from the truth. Okay, because she is very receptive to what's going on right now. She's taking everything in. Now, he just flat out was just like, I'm just gonna go for it. So he just grabbed her at this point. But I'm not sure if you can see it clearly, but look at this. I mean, it speaks for itself. Okay. Does that look like somebody that's resisting? Does that look like someone that's fighting? No. Okay. Look at her. This is typical games that females play. Okay. I mean, look at her face. Her eyes is closed. You know, she's taking in everything that's happening right now. Okay. Now remember, we talked about how her husband, he's the beta male. He's the beta male provider in this movie. That's what he's portrayed as, you know. He, you know, this is him. This is basically the men that are invisible to women, like good looking women, like the top tier women. These type of guys are invisible. You know, the type of guys that work hard, you know, get an education, you know, basically get to a place they need to be. But those guys are considered boring. They're considered guys that are not exciting, you know. Now she's already in victim mode right now. So she's already prepped up and ready to play victim mode. You know. Now instead of taking accountability, she does what usually women always do. You know, look at that. She's already, as soon as he shows up, she's already crying. I'm telling you, like, they are Hollywood actors. Like, they got Academy Awards when it comes to acting and bullshitting. And basically, the mind games. So she's telling him that, you know, Jacques, which is Matt Damon's friend, just raped her. That's what she's saying. She's saying that that's what he did. He forced himself on her. And this is what exactly she's saying. So now he's grabbing her, like, basically saying he don't believe her. You know? You know, she's still putting in an act. You know, but now this scene right here, I really dislike this scene because I always dislike how they portray as men like we have no self-control. Because in this scene right here, Matt Damon's character basically saying that, you know what, I just came from war. I need to get some. I can't control myself. Even though you're telling me what just happened to you, okay? But I'm gonna still get some, okay? And it's almost like they always portray men as, like, you know, basically wild animals who has no self-control. And the media does this all the time. It's a common thing that the media does. So basically, you know, at this point, Matt Damon, he goes to the king and said, you know, basically to bring his case that his wife was somebody, you know, R-rated, his wife, and that he wants justice. Okay, that's what's happening right now. So they had a whole court in front of all the major individuals, people that lives in the town. Okay, for all parties to, you know, bring their case, explain their sides. Okay, so, and it's actually, they have the church there too, you know, taking account of what took place. Okay, now, you know, Jacques, he's pleading his case. He's saying that, you know, he never forced himself on her. He's saying that it was mutual. And as you can see from the images earlier, it was mutual. Okay? Now, she's there in front of everybody. Now, at this point, this is the crazy thing. Like, they've been trying to have a baby for a minute. Okay? Her and her husband. Now, as you can see on the screen, at this point, she's already like 6 months pregnant. So instantly, the minute she had sex with the alpha male, she was pregnant. Now the book Sperm Wars talk about this explain this in further details. You ever check the book Femme Wars? I suggest you take a look at it. Really good book, which explain this scenario I was just telling you perfectly. Basically, in the book, it talks about how a woman, basically, her body can reject the beta male that she's with due to the lack of attraction, due to the fact that she doesn't deem him a suitable partner to procreate with. Okay? She's pregnant. Okay? Obviously, she's not gonna say, okay, like that's Jacques' kid. She's not gonna say it's the alpha male's kid. So this is another thing that they do. They're always gonna try to get the beta male, okay, the man that they feel like is lower value to be the to be the father of a kid that's not theirs, and that's exactly what's happening right now. And here we go again with the tears. You know, this is like female reverse psychology 101. They always bring the tears. You know, it's a way to kind of like, I don't know how they do it, honestly. They always somehow on cue, they can just literally force themselves to cry. Like, it's a special talent that they have. You know, you can see here she's crying to make everybody believe her. Of course they did. You know, now this scene is after they came from the court. You know, now he has really good perception. His intuition and his gut feeling is telling him like, yo, this broad is lying. Okay. So he's basically telling her, hey, listen, man, don't make me look like a fool if this is not true. And she is doing what they always do. Basically, you know, in some way shame him and saying that, why would I lie about something like this? Don't you believe me? Don't you trust me? I'm your wife. Don't you believe? Who would you believe? Somebody else or me? And this is like part of the, you know, shaming tactics that women use. And that's what she's doing right now. You know? So at this point, you know, like the baby's born. Okay, the baby's born. She, you know, she got him thinking like, okay, that's his kid. Because back in those days, they don't play around, man. They don't play around. Like if they find out a woman cheats, you're getting burned, you're getting hung. Okay, so she got everybody believing that, you know, Jacques, which is Matt Damon's friend, forced himself on her. So obviously, you know, in the movie, they just kind of like agree, okay, you know what, a duel to the death. So that's like basically the climax, the conclusion of the movie. In front of the whole population, kings, queens, Matt Damon's mom and dad, everybody was present for this duel. That kind of reminds me like something that, you know, this is like almost like this is back then, but it has so much similarities to now. Because how many times, you know, you got people that you know of, okay, they fall out with a friend, you know, they go and basically, you know, most men, you hear something like that, your natural instinct is you're gonna want to defend your woman. You want to do what's right. And you got people that took it even to the next level. They'll go and basically commit horrible crimes, thinking that they're doing something, you know, to, you know, protect their woman, thinking that they're doing something that's noble. This happens a lot. And that's really what's taking place right now. You got two friends fighting for a woman, One is the husband, the other one is, the friend of the husband. And, the truth is, it's a lie. Like, it's a lie. But, Matt Damon, which is that, he is loyal, like I said. He has a strong sense of justice, and he wants to defend his woman. Like, he wants to do what's right. So he engaged into this duel with his best friend. Now, the friend is telling him, hey, listen, dude, it was a lie, but he is so overcome, okay? And this is part of the beta male energy. He is so overcome, like, with emotions, that he cannot think properly. In his head, that it's impossible for his woman to have slept with somebody else. Only a fool, someone who's delusion, who would think such a thing. Okay? I could be the president of the United States. Okay? I could be a celebrity with millions of dollars. Even them, they have their women sleeping with other men. Men who are lower value. That's another thing. Like, women will sleep with a man with lower value. You could be high value, they would still, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, their brain, the way their brain is wired is very weird. Like, some of the things that they do is very questionable. Okay? That's why you have to make sure you don't put yourself in a position where you're risking it all for any female. Okay? Because we know this, like, okay, they were already, after the fallen state, Adam and Eve in the garden, something happened, and their wiring just all been all screwed up since then. Okay, me personally, I'm calling them extraterrestrials. Okay, because the way they think is definitely out of the norm. Okay, so Matt Damon, he's fighting his best friend to the death. The whole time she's there, oh my God, she's crying, about what's taking place. Now, one have to ask yourself this question: are you crying because you're about to lose your side dude, or what are you crying about? Or this is part of the convincing and part of the mind games to make people believe you even further, because they'll go to extreme length to make people believe certain things. And that's what's happening right now. Like, when I see this type of hug, like, it just reminds me of similar the hug that Judas gave Jesus after he betrayed him. And she's hugging Matt Damon. He won the fight. And like I said, spoilers. But, she know all along it's all a lie. And honestly, it didn't matter who won that fight. It was going to be a win-win situation for her either way. Okay? Because at the end of the day, it don't matter to her. It's all according to plan. Whatever outcome, it's all according to what she had planned. Okay? Now he's celebrating, thinking like he's a hero. He just defended his woman for something that's a noble cause. Everybody is cheering for him. But unfortunately, it was all a lie. The whole crowd, like the whole population, find him very, like what he did was a very brave thing. But unfortunately, it was a lie. And oftentimes, that's what happens. And I think there's a valuable lesson to be learned. Sometimes, you watch these movies and people think, okay, you know what? It's just a movie. It's not, because there's valuable lessons you can learn. Now, at this point, as you can see, the kid, I don't know, probably already 3 years old at this point, you know, and that's not Matt Damon's kid. That's the kid of another man, you know. Now look at this face. Does that look like a face of somebody? By the way, in this clip right here, Matt Damon, her husband, died, by the way. He went to war. They basically, the Count, Jacques' best friend, the Count, he set him up, sent him to the front lines, you know, and he died in the war. Now, I want you to look at this face. Does that look like someone that her husband just died? And this usually is the outcome of what happens, okay? Because the minute you're no longer around, they forget about you. They already move on to the next person, okay? I have talked to women that they tell me they just got a relationship, literally, or their husband died 6 months ago. Already, they're already online looking for the next guy, looking for the next sucker, okay? Looking for the next beta male provider. And this is what's taking place in this movie, as you can see. She's over here enjoying her life with a kid that's not even her husband's kid. Now that her husband dies, she owns everything that he had, okay? All the land, okay? All the houses, all his money, you know? And it's gonna be on to the next dude, okay? So don't be that guy. Don't be the sucker, okay? Don't be their next victim, okay? So that's it for this video. It's Hypergamy in Motion. This is a new channel. By the way, if you think it's just a movie, then you don't know what you was watching, okay? See you in the next one. Take care.